So we are exploring bodhicitta. Indeed we are. Though it has been expressed in a number of ways, I think the essence of arousing bodhicitta at the experiential level is to contact the soft spot and to stay with it. That is really the essence of the practice, staying with the soft spot. We experience the soft spot as vulnerability. We experience it as groundlessness. We experience it as tenderness. This soft spot is actually inherent in appreciation and gratitude, and love. And it is equally inherent in pain. And maybe that about covers the whole experience of life. The soft spot of bodhicitta is readily available to all of us. And as I said before, this soft spot is like the weak link in the tightness and rigidness of the patterns of ego, the habits of ego. It's like a natural opening, and it's the opening that we take. So the essence of the bodhicitta practice is contacting the soft spot and staying with it. And this means becoming very familiar with fear. Often when we feel that soft spot of bodhicitta, it's quickly followed by feeling of fear. And an involuntary, habitual tendency to close down. That is the habit that we all have. We cover over bodhicitta, the soft spot of bodhicitta. That is the habitual tendency of its species. And these practices that we are doing, shamatha vipassana meditation, these aspiration practices of maitri and compassion, this getting in the habit of the Three Noble Principles, beginning our activities with a thought of wishing for all of us to benefit from what's about to occur, sharing the merit at the end, and the Tonglen practice that I'm about to give you. All of these are methods, encouragements to help us contact the soft spot and stay with it. So now I will present the Tonglen practice, which is a further practice of awakening compassion. And as I have said, it is nurturing these inherent qualities of maitri and compassion that becomes the catalyst for the bodhicitta to not only be contacted, but for it to begin to expand to the point of full awakening, when all the hardness is gone, all the shutting down against our life experience, all our tendencies to narrow down to a solid feeling of ourself against the other, this and that, solidifying, closing down into such solid view of ourselves and such solid view of the world and other people. When we stay with the bodhicitta by awakening compassion and maitri, this is what allows our natural ability to grow and expand. And actually, because of the evolution of this species, which we are a member of the human race, the evolution of the consciousness of the human. So Tonglen practice. The essence of the Tonglen practice is that when we see pain or feel pain, when we feel suffering or see suffering in the world around us or in our own experience, we breathe in the notion of completely feeling that, completely accepting it and owning it completely, willing to feel the suffering of humanity. And then we breathe out, radiating out compassion, loving kindness, freshness, openness, anything that heals, anything that actually allows us to open and enjoy our life. Anything that encourages relaxation and openness at this very profound level. So you could say that as we breathe in, we're training in staying soft spot. And as we breathe out, we're training in staying with the soft spot. It's really contacting the suffering and joy of human existence in a very personal way, and then realizing how universal this experience is of suffering and of joy. And so rather than doing what is habitual, we do something different. What is habitual in all human beings and all living beings, what is habitual and crippling is that when it's painful, we push it away. And when it's pleasurable, we cling to it. We hold on to it. We don't want it to leave. So Tonglen is reversing that habit at a very fundamental level. When it's painful, we breathe it in and own it completely. Let it touch us. Overcoming fear of pain. And when it's delightful, we send it out. We actually loosen our grip and share it with others, wishing for others to feel this relaxation, happiness, sense of well-being, wishing for others to feel that too. At the everyday level, it's getting in a habit of whenever unwanted, uncomfortable feelings come up, of breathing in and feeling those completely and wishing that all beings could be free of these kinds of feelings and the fear of these feelings. And whenever we feel anything pleasurable, that we just get in the habit of thinking of others and wishing that they could feel this too. So this is the essence of the practice. It's breathing in and touching that which we call suffering and sending out that which we call celebration, delight, just any moment of well-being, happy feeling, sharing happiness. In some sense, you could say the in-breath is may all beings be free of suffering, and the out-breath is may all beings enjoy happiness and live in happiness. That's somewhat conceptual, but that's our view. I want to say now one more very important thing. And this is actually a little teaching on Shunyata, and the open dimension of our being, the open dimension of reality altogether. Fluid, open, non-restricted, non-static nature of energy and all things. When you breathe in, there is nowhere for you to get stuck. Please remember this. The source of suffering is that we think we are so solid, we think that there's some place for it to get stuck, and therefore we feel it stuck. But the true state of affairs is that there is nowhere for it to get stuck. There is a personality, there is somebody called Emma, but that's not fixed, it doesn't stay. It's always in process of evolving and changing moment by moment, even at the cellular level. The energy is always up into the next moment. There's nowhere for it to get stuck. Please remember. Our fear is based on this feeling that things will get stuck. That's our fundamental fear in our life altogether. And this is why we're working with Awakening Chitta. It's overcoming that erroneous view of reality. That things are like rocks. That things are things. And when you breathe out, realize that there is nothing obstructing it. It just goes out far beyond the person that's the object of your Tonglen. It goes out and out and out. When you breathe out, nothing blocks what you're sending out. It just goes out and out and out. That's why it's so important to make these aspirations of compassion and hatred, because it spreads out. And that's so much more benefit than sending out negativity and aggression. Needless to say. So the out-breath, it's something along the lines of these Tibetan prayer flags. We write the aspirations and the prayers on a piece of cloth, and hang it on a pole, and the wind carries those good wishes to the ends of the universe. So when you're breathing in, there's nowhere for it to get stuck. In fact, the intention, the compassionate intention to relieve suffering by finally facing it completely and not running away from it. That good intention, it goes, if you're thinking small, it kind of goes right out your back and to the ends of the universe. So what we breathe in as a sort of a darkness or a blackness or a stuckness, actually is just by the notion of breathing it in, it's transformed into a compassionate aspiration. Maybe that's a little tricky philosophically to understand, but when you breathe in, suppose you see someone suffering, suppose someone's crying really hard, and so I turn my attention in that direction, breathe in the wish this person could be free of suffering. I'm not really breathing in like something yucky. I'm actually breathing, it's like opening the heart to someone else's pain. So you're breathing in with this compassionate aspiration. You're connecting with the pain. You can't get away from the bottom line of this practice that you're connecting with the feeling of pain, connecting with the feeling of suffering, but you're not hardening against it. At the same time, you have to acknowledge that what you're doing is actually opening the heart. And that's what goes right out your back to the ends of the that compassionate inspiration, that person that's crying for suffering, and the root of suffering. So the way, even though we work with this gradually over time, this is what prevents the practice gradually from becoming overwhelming. It's realizing that there's no place for it to get stuck. And basically, whether we're breathing in or breathing out, we're simply training in opening our minds beyond bias or prejudice, and opening our hearts beyond fear of feeling. So from the point of view of ourselves, we're awakening the bodhicitta. We're overcoming the fear of feeling, and we're inspiring and encouraging this soft spot to expand, awakening the bodhicitta. And so actually, people often say, do these people that we're doing this Tonglen practice for, do they benefit? And what you know for sure is you benefit. Maybe you can't prove that someone else benefits, but you know that you do. That's what brings the most benefit to others. Is if you begin to feel compassion and love, that's what really benefits others. So I could give a whole testimonial on how Tonglen helps other people, tell you a lot of stories, but I think the main point is it helps us, and that helps others. A compassionate wish that others be free of suffering and the root of suffering, and that they enjoy happiness and the root of happiness. So now let me give the practice. I'm going to teach this practice as Trungpa Rinpoche taught it to his students. And there are a lot of different ways that Tonglen is taught, but the essence of it is what I just described, breathing in suffering, sending out the joy. But I'm going to give you the instruction that Trungpa Rinpoche gave to his students. So let me just, without going into any description of the 4 stages, I'd like to just say them, and then I'll go back and give commentary, and then do the practice. The first stage has its different ways of people talking about it. Sometimes it's called just flashing absolute bodhicitta. Sometimes it's called letting your mind open and rest. Sometimes it's called just a moment of stillness. But the essence of this first stage is laying the ground for this being a practice where you don't get into picking and choosing. The first stage is a sort of just a short moment of equanimity or openness, where you just kind of acknowledge the basis of the practice, just as in the Maitri practice and the compassion practice, is that you just open your mind beyond picking and choosing, beyond attachment and aversion. It's just some sense of opening. And I'll say more about that. The second stage is that you work with the texture. This is that you visualize that you're breathing in a dark, heavy quality. Some people have different experiences of this, how they do it. But breathing in through all the pores of your body, completely taking in the sense of dark and heavy, and radiating out on the out breath, light, fresh and cool, and radiating that out 360 degrees to the end of it. Then the third stage is you work with a particular situation, something that is very real, genuine, heartfelt, not a conceptual idea, something real that you feel. So, for instance, you could do this practice for the person on your list that you feel gratitude for, and you could do it for the person that you feel compassion for. It's just a genuine feeling. And then the next stage, which ideally, the third and fourth stage are simultaneous, but it's obviously quite helpful to do it as a progression. But simultaneously, if you pull it off, whatever suffering you connect with, suffering of the person you're grateful to, suffering of the person you're compassionate for, whoever it might be, you extend that out to all beings who are in the same boat as that person. So rather than going through the stages such as with the Maitri practice and the compassion practice where you actually go step by step through 7 steps, you just go through contacting something very real to you and then using that as a stepping stone for universalizing it. So simultaneously, it should be a true feeling that you're really feeling. And then when you universalize it, it's a kind of recognition of how many people feel this. And so with the in-breath, you're breathing this pain of all of them that are, for instance, in the dark depression. Maybe the one you feel compassion for is in the dark depression. So you breathe in for all people who are in depression, and you radiate out friendliness, sense of spaciousness, kindness, whatever works to that person and then to all. So these are the 4 stages. So let me go back through them again with a bit of commentary, more commentary. First of all, this first stage, the flash of openness. Many people say, I've never experienced openness, it's just a conceptual word. I do not know what you're even talking about. My meditation is characterized by unbroken thinking, highlighted by strong conflicting emotions. And when I hear words like gap or openness, I just feel totally poverty stricken. Well, everyone else in the room is experiencing these things, but I don't actually know. So then, to make matters worse, someone gives us instruction. Well, here's this whole new, wonderful, beneficial practice, and the whole ground of it is this gap, openness. You say, well, forget it, I won't do this one then. Can't even do step 1. So I think it's helpful to know that conceptually, the reason that first step is there is to get at this notion that when you breathe in, there's no enough to get stuck. And when you breathe out, it's sent out. So nothing. That's really conception, why it's important to even reflect on this absolute. Just conceptually understand that's what that stage is. And then understanding that conceptually, you might have to write it in big letters. There is nowhere to get stuck. When I send out, it goes out. You know, sometimes we need to like a neon sign blinks on and off in bed. But then understanding this, you can just use images. The truth is, you may feel intimidated by words like shunyata, absolute bodhicitta, but actually we all do experience these things. And we experience them as going out in the morning when it's been cloudy and dark for 5 days and suddenly the sun is shining. You just feel this freshness of mind. So we experience it as just a kind of lightness, not caught up. But there's a lot of instances in life when something sort of stops your mind, or where the pleasure of the moment just causes a kind of open, where you're not all caught up. So we know what it is to be not. Maybe not in our meditation, but in our minds. And as some people say, well, I do know, even in my meditation, what it is to be not caught up, because when you hit the gong at the end, usually the moment then, real meditation. So you can use images like looking out at the ocean, or looking up at the sky at night, when you can just see all the stars and the vastness of the night sky. When it's a clear night, you can see forever. You can use images like that, sort of opening kind of images. And one person told me that the only thing worked was coming up with a kind of tender memory that had a very open-hearted, unrestricted feeling in it. And so she would start the practice with remembering her fourth birthday, because there was a kind of a feeling quality in her memory of that. It's just being very open. So you may say, oh, well, that's pretty limited, but I'll just tell you anything that works. To just get that feeling of nothing stuck. Traditionally, you use these images of big sky, just big sky, open space, or just raise your eye gaze at the beginning and just look out. Just raise your eye gaze and just look out. So anything like that. So that's just a moment, just a flash. And then you move on to breathing in the dark and heavy. Sometimes they say dark, heavy, and hot. And radiating out the white, light, and cool. And the important thing there is that you breathe in completely and you send out completely. And that you give equal time to the in-breath and the out-breath. That's very important. Just to try to have the in-breath and the out-breath given equal time. Also, you can breathe in much more deeply than usual if you want to, and breathe out much more expansively than usual if you want to. You can manipulate the breath, but if it helps, deep breathing in, real sense of relaxing out. An image which I found extremely useful here is one that Trungpa Rinpoche gave, which was, well, suppose you were in a room that was filled with dark smoke, and there were no windows in it, but we were all sitting in there, we're going to be in there for a long time, we wanted the air to be clean. So everybody breathes in, and then the air is a little cleaner. And then everybody breathes out this real freshness, this real cleanness, and then the air is in. And then everyone breathes in, it's a little cleaner yet. And breathes out, it's like an air conditioning in the room. And ultimately, no one is left with black lung. Everyone is just breathing good air, and the whole room is fresh and clear. So that's kind of the notion. Kind of view. And then you move on to a real situation. And the way I like to teach this is start the practice with doing the practice with somebody you wish to help. But should it get complicated, and you find out that you actually can't do it wholeheartedly, like any kind of unwanted feelings arise in you, any kind of shutting down around the soft spot starts to arise in you as a result of, you start out to do the practice for your mother, and she's in depression, having a hard time, but then it brings up a lot of other bad feelings. Then just stop and shift the focus of the attention and begin to do the Tonglen practice. Connect with the feeling of stuckness that you feel around this relationship. Connect with that honestly. The point is the touching with someone who's genuine, not conceptual. So you connect with the feeling of shut down, resentment, numbness, whatever it is, and that becomes the focus of the tongue. You take your experience of stuckness, then you breathe in and touch that for yourself and all beings all over the world who also have that feeling. Therefore, you're breathing in for all people who suffer that way. I wish that we all get from suffering and suffering. You send out the freshness of relief to everyone. So it's traditionally taught as a practice that you do to relieve the suffering of others. But an extremely powerful way of doing that is just connecting with your own suffering and using that as the stepping stone for understanding what other people feel. To me, that's the most powerful part. How you share whatever you might be feeling, it's shared by countless people. It's this closing over, this inability to stay with the bodhicitta, with the soft spot, is shared by countless limitless beings. So it becomes your link with everybody. And so whatever situation you're in, extend it out. So this is to say, you start to do Tonglen for somebody who's depressed, and it's very simple. Just doing the practice for them, and then expand beyond just this one person. Do the Tonglen, breathing in, taking in, sending out for all people who are in the situation, in the same situation, that depressed one, that lonely one, that angry one, that addicted one. However, if you start to do the practice and you realize that their quality of depression just irritates you, then you have to be genuine and acknowledge that. Begin to do Tonglen for all the irritated people. So in this way, you're overcoming your fear of feeling. Overcoming your fear of feeling. Particularly feeling pain and suffering. I'll just say again, one other thing, which is that sometimes you have to make this real, you have to just use very down-home images. So I often tell this story about the person who's doing it for the father. The relationship with the father was very complicated. She did a lot of Tonglen with him, and she never knew what to send him. She didn't have a clue what to send him. And so it occurred to her that she could send him a good cup of coffee. She knew he would like that, but that would actually lift his spirits, and she could see his face smiling. And that's what she did. So you can use images and metaphors like that. Then you would send out that sense of pleasure your father felt at this good cup of coffee just to all the others who also in deep depression. I'm going to suggest that we begin with something that is a bit tough for many people, but I choose this intentionally. Please do Tonglen for a family member. Anyone in your family. The reason I choose this is because this might be completely uncomplicated and very, very straightforward. Just think of a certain member of your family, and spontaneous compassion arises. You would do anything to relieve their suffering. So you breathe in. You may not know exactly what their suffering is, but you breathe in the sense of pain that you feel they're feeling with the wish that they be free of it. You breathe it in as completely as you can, and you send them out relief in whatever form you want. And you can have a sense of them actually standing there and beginning to smile and feel the sense of lightening up. And then as soon as you can, even if it could be even simultaneous, your family member and then all the others who are in the same situation. Do it for all. they become a stepping stone for others, awakening your compassion for others. However, if you think of a family member and you would like to help them, but there's also resentment or other feelings, and just shift the attention and begin to do Tonglen for all the people who are feeling the same resentment you are, who are in stuck relationships with your mom, father, sister, brother. And you use your genuine experience as the object of the Tonglen and as a way of understanding a lot of other people. So we'll try. When I ring the gong, lift your gaze and look out, and let it just be a moment of a bigger perspective, open mind, or sense of the sky or the sea. Just a moment of freshness and a bigger perspective on this whole thing. Nowhere for anything to get stuck. Limitless. Then as you breathe in the visualization of breathing in dark, heavy, hot, breathing in through all parts of your body. And radiate out, as you breathe out, radiate out, light, cool, and fresh. Radiating out from all the parts of your body. The eyes can be open and shut. Do this stage until it feels synchronized with the in-breath and the breath. Dark and heavy, that which represents fear comes in, light, fresh, and comes out. As much as possible, relax your body as deeply as you can. Relax your body, your mind, just open and take in, breathe out. Take in, breath, breathe out. And when you feel ready, move on to another family who is suffering. saying their name, visualizing them before you. Breathe in with the wish that they can completely free of suffering. Breathe in the suffering so they can be free of it. And send them out happiness, spaciousness, any form. And if it helps, you can visualize them begin to smile and actually receiving the benefit of this practice. If resentment comes up, fear or anger, any of those feelings, just to change the focus, breathe in, connecting with that feeling, wishing yourself and all others to be free, sending out relief to yourself and all others, and that feeling of resentment. So use a member of your family, look at the practice as it evolves. You do it for them and for all those who are feeling what you're feeling as you do this practice. You find that you just naturally go back and forth between your own feelings and that of your family member. That's fine. Just go back and forth. Do it for family member and do it with closed down feelings. All those feelings closed down. And you go back and forth with family member. Just let it evolve. Whoever you're doing this practice with, remember it's very important and universal is that do it for all of us. The same mode as your family member, and feeling as you. Always extend it out, not just limiting it to one or two. Extend it out. Find that you can move around and you can feel. You can do the practice for all those who are feeling numb, cut off. It's definitely a strong kind of pain. Really help your feeling overwhelmed. You could do the practice for all those are so good. It's really good advice to just stop, just do something much easier. Do it with the losing team. You don't have to step right into the most painful issues of your life. Just touching up with each other all will expand on itself. The practice brings up fear. You could do the practice for all those who are feeling fear. You could remember that there's no one who will get stuck. Generally, when you hear this gong, you begin to slowly make the transition back to sitting practice. When you're doing Tonglen as a form of practice, it's always good to begin first with at least 10 minutes of sitting, and then afterwards, sit again.